Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Untitled Reviews. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season 4 finale of The Bear. A great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, a term I've been using a lot this season, over and over again, has been the word cathartic. I really sat here and thought about it. It feels like if you were to break down the show's season so far, I don't know, like season 1's like the startup. Season 2, in my opinion, is the chaotic everything. Season 3 is the fallout. And then season 4 is, because a word that kind of gets used throughout this season, and like at least in like the small descriptions for some of the episodes, is like one episode is like, oh, everyone's reset. This is like the cathartic reset season. And so kind of like the end of an era and kind of potentially leading into a new beginning. So that's how I've kind of described like these 4 seasons. I never really given that much thought until I kept using the word cathartic. I'm like, well, if this season's the cathartic season, what does that mean for the others? I don't know. Maybe other people have better descriptions for how they will describe each season, but I don't know. It's interesting in a lot of ways. But that, like I said, just a startup, chaos, fallout, and cathartic reset. Those are the words I use. Not saying everyone's going to feel they are apt, but those are the words that come to my mind immediately. I'm sure if I took time to think about it more, probably find better words. But getting into the finale itself, beautifully just done, where it's just one single location. We're picking up after service. Sid didn't say a word to Carmi. She's just been like, it's been rummaging through her mind ever since she heard what she heard from Pete and piecing it together and knowing like, okay, this is what Carmi's doing. He's planning on leaving. And yeah, because Carmi's like, yo, what are you doing back here? She's like, yeah, I'm smoking. He's like, okay, wait, you don't do that. She's like, dude, I just needed some air. And he's like, what's up? You didn't talk to me at all during service. And it's like, what's up there? And she's like, I talked to Pete. He's like, okay. So it's like, we're going to hash this out. We're going to have this conversation. And I talked about it previously of like, oh, he hadn't had that moment, like, I don't know if coming to Jesus moment is like the real apt description, but he hadn't had that moment with Richie, which he had that moment a lot with himself this season, had it with Claire. He had it with his mom last episode. But I was like, oh, he hadn't had it with Richie. To be fair, he hadn't fully had it with Sid. It's something that's always been bubbling beneath the surface. They're kind of making everything manageable, making everything work. But it's really like it's always been this ticking time bomb. Sid is obviously upset because it's like, not only did you kind of leave, you created the shitstorm that we're in, but you're going to up and bail. And for him, it's like, I'm doing what I believe is for the restaurant, best for the restaurant. Got to put the restaurant first. And for her, that feels like horse shit. Because I think there's a part of Sydney that's like, she even says it, you're my partner. She's like, I know I don't need you, but you still need to be here. Because for her, it's like, this doesn't work without you. It's like, it takes all of us. It takes a village, right? And for her, it's like, you leaving is like messing with the ingredients that is this great cook, this great meal. You miss being missing. Like, yeah, you don't have to be in charge. Yeah, I can do this without you. But the point is, I don't want to. From the beginning, I want to do this with you. And it's like, also like, how can you up and leave after not only this debt and the terrible situation that the restaurant's in? It's like, the shit you put on me, the shit you put on all the people here, it's fucked up that, oh, you cause all this chaos and then you up and fucking leave? How is that fair? And it's like, yeah, it's kind of, I think, once again, it's a lot of the conversation his mom had with him last episode of, I know it's unfair, I know my sorries don't carry enough weight, but I am in the process of understanding myself that what I did was wrong and trying to understand that and carry that forward versus, like, I can't rewind, I can't undo what I did, but I can at least, like, learn from it. But it's like, oh, good on you from learning and growing. Too bad you couldn't come to that conclusion a little sooner. Like, now Sid started smoking and he's like, you don't do that. She's like, well, I do now. He's like, you're not good at it. She's like, I'm gonna get good at it. It's just like, Jesus, Sid. But it's just the frustration of it all coming out where it's just like you making this decision, because she's like, I'm trying to understand. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure it out too, because for him, he even admits like, I don't. She's like, you love this. He's like, I used to. She's like, you don't anymore. It's like he's come to learn that he does. He's like, I'm not inspired for it. Like, I don't feel like when it comes to the cooking, I don't feel like I'm pulling anything from it. But she's like, you're inspired. She's like, yeah, in some, for whatever fucking reason. He's like, no. It wasn't a question. He's like, you love this. It's not a question. I know for a fact you do. That's why you are the best person for this option. Like, you can run things. She even confronts her, not confronts her, but he's like, I know I've known Adam for a long time. She's like, we don't even have to go down. He's like, I've known Adam for a long time. And like you going to that spot, he's like, understandable what this place is. It's understandable why you would go work from it, and you'd be great. It'd be a great opportunity, create opportunities for yourself. And it's like, but for her, him's like, yeah, but this is the better place for you, because it's like, are you, why you're, he's like, yeah, he's great. It's like, oh really, that's what he's like. And then he changes it to, no, he's okay. It's like, oh, but you're better, right? He's like, yeah, I am. I would cook him and also be like, but you would too. And she's like, fuck you. And he's like, you are, and it's like, you're better than me. And she's like, in what way? She's like, you're everything I wish I could be. You are considerate. You are very clear about your emotions and how you're feeling. And you're just an excellent chef on your own. You have all the components to make you a great chef and not be bogged down the bullshit that's with me. Cause she even calls out, like, I get it. What you've went through. I've only known half of it. And it sounds like a fucking nightmare. You, Richie, Nat, Michael, like it sucks. And I get it. And you guys are using this restaurant as a means to kind of work through it, which she's talked about, like how kind of inappropriate and messed up it is. But it's also like, yeah, everyone's got effed up things where they're trying to work on stuff. Like this restaurant is an escape and a way to work through a lot of people's bullshit. The Berzados just happen to take up the majority of that, but everyone's working through something with their personal life through the restaurant. I mean, once again, Luca even had that conversation with Marcus on how that influences your food, and that's part of the journey. So it's all kind of like the food makes it all worthwhile what you went through, because it's proof of what you went through and kind of came out the other side through this food being like the end result of it, making it worth it in a way. Carmen keeps saying that like he's leaving, but he's not like leaving in the regards of like, I'm not going to abandon you. We're going to find a solution first, fix all this, and then I'm passing the torch. Because for him, it's like, I need to figure me out, and I don't know. He says, I put up so many barricade hurdles. There's so much I put in my way just so I don't have to deal with it. She's like, what? He's like, I did all that not to deal with anything. It's like, oh, starting a restaurant. He's like, cooking in the first place. Like, it was always my escape. And it is kind of for some people too, but it's just, other people can handle their shit better than I can. And it's just been a roller coaster, things stacking upon and stuff. And it's just like him not knowing how to process. And he's never been able to process everything properly. And it's just, he's used, once again, he even said it, like, I don't want to hide anymore. I want to face it. I don't want to run from it anymore. This has been that seed that, once again, come to Jesus season. And even, Sid brings up, like, yo, you have been very flippant. You have changed your mind a lot. The menu, this and that. And it's like, yes, but I'm trying to be better about it. I'm trying to put us on a path to success. And the way this path will success will be, it's like, the restaurant is better off without me, because I'm always going to be that asterisk that will always hold you guys back. We got the right people in place with you there leading the charge. You got this, and I know you got this, and the restaurant will be better off without it. And she's like, why? How do you know that? Like, it will be good, because he's like, you're the bear. And there's layers to that where it's like, because he's like, none of this would happen if you had never walked through that door, It's like her walking in is what sets so much of this emotion. It's like, once again, he's the bear. The Berzados are the bears. She's a bear because she's part of the Berzado family. But it's like, no, you are the bear. You're kind of the heart of this place. You're the reason why this place kept going. You're the reason why this place will keep going. Once again, that conversation between Computer and Nat of, why should you keep going, and everything that's said and been discussed and flown, and like everything this season is covered is the reason to keep going. The people here, it's the reason to keep going, that it means so much to people, that it helps so many people like those in the kitchen, grow and figure stuff out in their own lives. Like, that's the reason to keep going. Then it goes from just Carm and Sid to Richie, and Richie's like, yo, what's going on? It's like, oh, Carm's leaving. It's like, oh, go ahead, well, we'll clean up without him. It's like, no, he's leaving the restaurant, he's quitting. He's like, oh, so you're quitting. And for Richie, it's bringing a lot of stuff. He's like, no, go ahead and quit, that's what you do. And he's like, that's not what's happening here, Richie. I'm trying to tell you something. I'm sorry. He's like, nah, fuck your sorries, that doesn't mean anything. And then even saying later on, like, oh, there's no freezer between us like it was in the season 2 finale. And before he could walk away, he's like, I went to Mikey's funeral. And it's like, what did you say? I said I went to Mikey's funeral. He's like, all right, do not fuck with me. He's like, I would not fuck with you about this. It's like, so tell me, like, what was I wearing? He's like, dude, I don't remember. But it's like, you went? He's like, yeah, I did. And it's like, and you didn't say anything. It's like, no, like I went in for a little bit, left, and waited in my car. Like I said, based on like the first episode, like I said, it recontextualized that conversation he had with Lee because that recontextualizes the first episode of season 3 because my thought was he never went inside. He stayed inside his car, but now we have new knowledge of no, he was inside. He went in for a bit, immediately walked out and stayed inside his car. The only person that saw him inside was Lee. So I just thought that was so fascinating. I bet you even Richie probably doesn't know about Lee and Mikey becoming good buds. I don't think he knows about that. I mean, because that probably only happened anytime he went over to go see Donna and Mikey was there and they probably talked. That's probably the only time that really happened in the confines of the house. Who knows if that conversation, I mean, who knows what Mikey and Richie ever really talked about in that regard. But this is the moment I was talking about where they kind of have their catharsis. Once again, I know you're tired of me saying it. I've been saying that word a lot this season, but especially in the later episodes. But they kind of had their, like, finally, like, kind of getting everything off their chest where Carmi talks about the fact is that he did resent Richie because Richie was close to Mike. It's like you got to know him. It's like no, you knew. He's like yeah, but not really. Like you knew him, and he even had. I think probably what also played to that was like his conversation with his mom because his mom was like, I don't really know you, and you don't really know me, but hopefully now we're in a better spot. Like I can be in your life now, and I think I don't know if that conversation necessarily like solidified that in his head about him and Mikey. I think he definitely already felt like that. We heard how he talked about Mikey in those meetings. Once again, I thought he was my best friend. Turns out he's everyone else's best friend, or rather, everyone else thought of Mikey as their best friend. So he's already been thinking about that. He already had that contextualized in his head for a while, and he resented Richie because he also says like, "You're part of my family," and it's like, you got to know my family really well. And Richie's like, well, you're their son. Like, they love you. Mikey loved you. The fact is, I'm always going to be cousin, But he's like, yeah, but you're so much more than that, Richie. You are so ingrained in this family. And it made Carmi, who couldn't really express everything, who couldn't really properly deal with everything. And what did he do? He kind of ran away. And, people tell him it was good for him and that it might have been, like, right for him. Both Michelle said that was the right thing to do. And Lee says it was the right thing to do. Everyone tells him, like, it probably was the right thing to do. But he has his own fears and his own guilt over leaving. And it's kind of like, I didn't really get to know my family. And Richie, you stayed behind and you were there for my family. Richie kind of threw it in his face. Like, yo, I was there for your family when you weren't, when you ran away. So there's truth into that, how hurtful it is, but it's still the thing of I didn't really know how to communicate and be a part of my family. It's like there was always this massive barrier between me and my family, and Richie never had that issue. So it almost feels like this ironic thing that even though this is Carmi's family, it felt more like Richie's family. And even they had that argument in season 2's finale about like how like, oh, he yelled at Richie about being like a leech, how you're just like obsessed with my family. And it's like, yeah, because it is his family in that regard of Richie's just as much as it is Carmi's. And so Richie also talks about how jealous he was of Carmi as well, because it's like you're this genius. And he even said, like, he talked about that road trip. I think he talked about it last season with Nat, about that one of the last trips he took with Mikey was that job they were doing for Jimmy. I believe that was around the same time Tiff was pregnant, too. I think that was a part of that story as well. And he kind of left her, even though she was super close, to her due date and stuff. But he talked about, like, yeah, it was kind of like this beautiful moment, just hanging with my pal and listening to some good tunes. And we were thinking, like, yo, what is Carmi up to? Because he admitted, like, yo, I missed you. Like, while you were gone, I missed you. I was thinking, what were you up to? What were your experiences like? And he's like, yo, me and Mikey were just talking about it. Like, thinking about it. It's like, oh, this must be what Carmi's going through and Carmi's feeling. And Carmi's like, no, it wasn't that like that. In fact, Richie's like, to get a better understanding, I got a cookbook. It's like, really, what kind of cookbook? French Laundry. He's like, man, I'm like, yo, like, who the fuck, like, trying to, like, decipher all this shit? He's like, but if anyone, like, Carmi could really figure it out, someone like you, Carmi, is a G for me to kind of decipher all of that mess, So I also love Sid still smoking, and he's like, well, give me that. Like, you don't even smoke. And then Sid just saying, nigga, who cares? and then her son still trying to puff, and he's just like, no, give me that. First time we've ever heard Sid drop the N bomb, which is kind of crazy, and just saying, nigga, who cares? I'm like, damn, that's great. Once again, it's just like it's all out there, it's all in the open now, you know, and so they still don't have a solution quite yet, but it's like, don't worry, we're gonna figure it out. Like he's making the point that we're gonna figure it out, and you know, Richie's even saying like, well, it's gonna be fine because he's like, I don't really have an idea, but he's like, it's all gonna be fine. It's like, as long as you're not quitting, Sid, like, please tell me, God, you're not quitting. She's like, no, but she wants to make an amendment to the document, the agreement, and her amendment is that on the Bear side of things, it's her, Nat, and Richie. Which Richie's like, hey, I appreciate it. I don't need any like, oh god, what was he saying? Basically any niceties, and then like any gesture, any good gestures, and then Sid's like, who the fuck's got time for gestures? He's like, yo, this is real, and she's like, yes. Then he's like, I accept it. But he's just like, honestly, what the question is like, how are we going to deal with this debt? And she's like, that's a good question. I'm trying to figure out too. But Carm's okay with it. So is Sid. And you know, it makes a lot of sense that Richie kind of feel that because the growth he's had, the part he's played in the Bears' success, like he is a part of this whole process. You are a Bear through and through, so it makes so much sense that three of the Bears would kind of run this. That'd be, you know, because I think if any other situation, it would be like Nat, Mike, and Carmi, but since that's not the case, it's Nat, Sid, and Richie. But you know, everyone has, you know, grown and found their place at the Bear and found some fulfillment and something to hold on to and latch to. Because like Richie was also trying to say like, yo, this is my home. You were never gonna like, nothing was ever gonna scare me away from it. It's like, no, this ain't some niceties. This is what it is. This is what it needs to be. You know, so. He's like, is that if that's what you want? And Sid's like, no, this is what I need. And it's like, all right, that's what it is. And so then we got Nat coming in at the end. She's like, what's going on here? And it's like, Carmi's leaving. And then it's like, and then Richie's like, Carmi went to Mike's funeral. And it's just like hearing all that at once. It's just overwhelming to Nat, and all she has is like her brother nod to her. She goes over and hugs him because it's like it's just everything at once. Where it's like you're quitting, but she had the conversation with her brother about whether or not does he still love this. And once again, the whole thing of it's okay that you don't love anymore because you did at one point in time, and the fact is you were capable of that love is important. And also hearing like, oh my god, you were there, I wish I'd known. But knowing that you did go, and him having the regrets of feeling like he didn't really deserve to be there, because Richie had guilt over an important thing I forgot to talk about was he thought like, oh, like he blamed himself because he's like, I tried to be there for Mikey, try to get him to talk to people, and so I thought you blamed me for what happened. But it's like, no, Richie, no, like that he couldn't do anything because it wasn't just he was afraid of their blame, but and judgment, but he was also blaming and judging himself for like, I couldn't do anything to save my best bud, you know, like my best friend. So like I said, it's just this beautiful moment, just ending on them hugging each other, and it's like, where do we go from here? The end of the episode happens with the clock ticking down and their parachute has officially ended and things are on the up and up. I don't think Ibra's had an opportunity to talk to Carmi about like the expansion of like the beef, the different spots. So there's still some threads on those fronts that need to be filled. So at the time of recording this, it is June 28th, so this dropped, it's been like 3 days, so it'll probably be a little while before we get any news. I don't remember when news dropped about season 4. I think it came relatively quickly. I think it typically does. And once again, it depends on ratings and stuff like that. I know some people were very mixed on, like, some people liked season 3, some people didn't, some people were very in the middle of it, but I thoroughly really enjoyed this season. Hopefully other people thoroughly enjoyed it too. It definitely feels like this is coming to an end with a 5th season. It feels like set up for it to end with a 5th season. So I'm curious to see, will it be the same length? Because a lot of shows, most shows for the most part tend to, like, when they go into their final season, is they tend to have their shorter seasons. So I'm curious, will, like, the next season, if the show comes back for a fifth season, which I strongly feel like it would be the final season, I'd be so curious to see where those storylines go, where they kind of close. Probably see maybe a lot more Luca, because he is, staging there, so we probably might see more of him in the next potential season. Ibra's expansion with, like, the beef, probably, expand upon that story more, and probably get to see Albert some more as well. Wonder if Jimmy got Carm's message. Maybe there's going to be a new timer set till Carm's exit type of situation. I don't know. I'd be so curious to see, like, the direction the next season plays out, or some of the relationships, the dynamics go, like a Richie and Jess. Like, will there be something there on that front? They, like I said, they seem to be in a good spot. So we didn't get to see this particular service, so we don't know how it went, but you can only assume Tina rocked it and got under 3 like she did previously. So a lot of threads, like I said, that feel like they could lead to a conclusion, with, like, him leaving the bear, and that journey to leaving it feels like that final step in the show. Once again, nothing's been solidified. It's only been out for 3 days, but I feel like that's the direction we go. If it's not, that's perfectly fine, but I feel like with just the storytelling what it is, it feels like next season feels like, after this catharsis, it feels like next season would be the perfect endpoint, to be essentially the epilogue to all of this. So, who is Carmi outside of the restaurant? And that's a big question he asks. He's like, I don't know who I am outside of the restaurant, because it's kind of consumed me, and I put myself in a position to do that and be consumed by it. But I was like, I need to take a step back for everyone's sake, but also my sake. I need to figure out who I am and figure a lot of shit out. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we are getting another season, because I'd love to see where this goes. And like I said, I strongly feel like the next season will be a conclusion, and I'm so curious to see where these storylines go. Like I said, I thought this season was great. Some fun, some laughter, some tears, some very seriousness. But yeah. I think that's where I'm just going to kind of leave off my thoughts. I'm sure there's probably more I could talk about, but I think that's everything that's coming to me right now. So if anything else really hits me later on, because obviously it's going to be a couple days, well, probably even longer, because these are going up one day at a time, so it's probably going to be a while before you hear this recording. It's going to be well after. I mean, by the time this actually goes live on YouTube, because I'm going to schedule out, like, I've got up to episode 8, like, uploaded right now. I just have to, 7. I just got to edit this, but, like, 9 and 8 just need to be exported. 9 needs to be exported, 8 needs to be uploaded. Once again, I'm getting into the technical side of it. My point is, like, it's going to be a week, maybe like a week and a half by the time this is live on YouTube. So I'm just saying that by then we might have some information about the next season. So, and, a lot more time will pass, and a lot more people's thoughts about this season in general will be out there. So, but yes, I've run my mouth off long enough. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.